A 14-year-old girl, still not fully developed, who demands to have her breasts cut off. A 15-year-old boy who wants to have his penis removed. A 10-year-old taking drugs to interfere with hormones that make puberty possible. This is what Joe Biden promoted today.
To parents of transgender children, affirming your child's identity is one of the most powerful things you can do to keep them safe and healthy. To any transgender American who's struggling, please know that you're not alone. To parents and children alike, please ask for help. And know this, you're so brave, you belong, and we have your back.
Now, the left loves to pervert language to promote its twisted agenda. So they brand this parental rights bill in Florida the Don't Say Gay legislation. Of course, that's not in the bill. They refer to increased pain at the pump as Putin's gas hikes. And now, instead of a sex change operation, it's gender-affirming care. Well, today, Biden made it clear that this is a hill that his party is willing to die on, encouraging transgenderism among the youngest Americans and fighting anyone who gets in his way. This is the issue Democrats obsess over? Wow. They're not so concerned, are they, with restoring the economy or countering a rising China or fighting the cartels importing fentanyl? His number one priority seems to be mainstreaming transgenderism among our kids, in the workplace, in our military, everywhere.
To everyone celebrating Transgender Day of Visibility, I want you to know that your president sees you. The onslaught of anti-transgender state laws attacking you and your families is simply wrong. We're committed to advancing transgender equality in the classroom, on the playing field, at work, in our military, in our housing and healthcare systems, everywhere, simply everywhere.
Simply everywhere. Well, despite public opinion polls showing overwhelming support for Florida's new law, Biden and the groups allied with the Democrats are obsessed with this issue. Now, two such organizations filed a federal lawsuit today against the parental rights bill, claiming that the law not only stigmatizes and silences those vulnerable students, exacerbating risks to their welfare, but also threatens school officials who foster a safe and inclusive environment. Well, these are frivolous claims. Students aren't barred from saying anything in this legislation, and teachers aren't prevented from keeping anyone safe. We want everyone safe. Meanwhile, Disney continues to dig itself in a giant mouse hole on this issue by advocating for sexual lesson plans for 5 to 7-year-olds. So a boycott Disney movement has begun apparently across America. And now Governor DeSantis is considering eliminating the special status that Disney receives from the state.
There are certain entities that have exerted a lot of influence through corporate means to generate special privileges in the law. I don't think we should have special privileges in the law at all. They've got so far over their skis on this parental rights stuff because I think they're used to having their way, and they're not used to having people that will stand in their way and say, actually, the state of Florida is going to be governed by the best interests of the people in Florida. You know, we're certainly not going to bend a knee to woke executives in California.
Now, Disney is walking down a very dangerous trail here. Arguably, the most important thing they and other media companies own right now is their intellectual property, meaning Mickey Mouse, the old film catalogs, etc. Well, trademark and copyrights are established by Congress, their length, how long they can be exercised. Well, Congress can always change them. And if it does, Disney could lose its exclusive rights to its iconic characters, meaning the image of Mickey Mouse could be declared part of the public domain, usable by anyone. Now, we know that Disney knows how important these trademark and copyright issues are because the company spends millions to safeguard them. So every time Disney's copyright is set to expire, it unleashes an army of lobbyists and spends millions to get it extended. So with Walt Disney long gone and nearly 100 years since the mouse first appeared, why on earth should these works be walled off from public use? It's madness. But not as mad as what Disney's former CEO said today about the Florida bill.
To me, it wasn't politics. It was what is right and what is wrong, and that just seemed wrong. It seemed potentially harmful to kids. When you're dealing with right and wrong, or when you're dealing with something that does have a profound impact on your business, then I just think you'd have to do what is right and not worry about the potential backlash to it.
Well, the backlash may end up crippling the business. When Americans see the actual language of the new Florida law, it wins support by more than a 2-to-1 margin. Now, among independents, it's 58-26 supporting, and my favorite, even among Democrats, it's 55% supporting the law, 29% against. So has Iger left his mansion lately to speak to real people? Or is this really where Disney wants to take its brand? From being a company known for its wholesome entertainment to one seeking to redefine what children consider normal against what parents might believe, listen closely to the Disney production coordinator.
All this content's going to kids who don't know any of this, and even if they're in a household like Keith that have supportive parents, they're still getting all of this information from media of what is normal, and we just there's a lot of power to that, and it just needs to be acknowledged.
But Disney is going to find out very quickly that the power is with the parents who pay the taxes that fund the schools. And the power is with the parents who decide what streaming service to subscribe their families to. And the power is with the parents who decide where to go on vacation. And this year, it may not be to a Disney theme park. As for the Democrats, did they not see what happened to Terry McAuliffe in Virginia, where schools were the flashpoint for so many voters, including moms? So if they think that aligning with a tiny radical element and against parents is a smart politics here, then they're even more out of touch with America than we thought. The winds of change that hit Washington will feel more like a Cat 5 hurricane at this rate. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.